Let's move on to Ireland. There's been a lot happening in Ireland that you might have seen that's broken out over the last week or so. Riots and violence exploding in downtown Dublin. Let's go ahead and play some of this footage. Absolutely crazy, crazy stuff in the middle of a Western European capital. And of course, there's been a lot of, I think, media misinformation and reporting around all of this. It's even ensnared the UFC king, Conor McGregor. And so anyway, what exactly is going on behind the scenes here? So at a very, very basic level, here is what happened. There was a stabbing incident which involved a foreign national. Whoever, though, had actually lived in Ireland since 2003. So let's please put this tear sheet up there on the screen, which from the Times of England, which actually has some of the best reporting that we've seen on the subject. Quote, the suspect arrived in Ireland in 2003, applied for asylum. His application was rejected, his deportation ordered, but he successfully challenged it, and he now has full residency rights. There are suggestions that his mental health had deteriorated after he was diagnosed with a brain tumor about 2 years ago, and his friends had told the police that his behavior was changing radically afterwards. He was then arrested in possession of a knife in Dublin last May and appeared before the district court in June. The outcome is unclear. He went on to stab multiple small children in Ireland. The riots essentially then were set off with anti-immigrant sentiment. However, Krystal and I, we were talking about this, and I think they have really mischaracterized a lot of what is happening here. Yes, a lot of this is downstream of immigration, but Ireland is facing a very, very serious housing crisis right now, which has a huge part to do not only with Islamic refugees, but also a lot of Ukrainians. So let's please put this up there, and I'm also going to read some statistics. Quote, Ireland demography has been transformed in decades. A fifth of the 5 million people now living in Ireland were born elsewhere. And a recent increase in refugees from Ukraine and other countries has fueled a backlash amid concern over a housing shortage and straining public services. The number that is housed by the state has jumped from 7,500 in 2021 to 73,000 in 2022. Quote, Ireland has received more than 141,000 immigrants in the last 12 months through April. That is the highest total in Irish society since 2007. And the influx of migrants has driven an 11% increase in Irish population over the last 11 years, which has contributed to a steady increase in housing prices. So really what I think this is, Krystal, is a story not only of mass immigration, but of, frankly, Ukrainian refugees and other refugees from around the world that are flooding into Western Europe, as these Western European capitals have to grapple with their tremendous social safety net, their Western liberal politics, but frankly, disregarding, and this is what I think the reason that this really touched here, was their own domestic population whose houses are getting so unaffordable as they're watching foreigners get housed in state housing, as you have Irish citizens and others who are homeless on the street. That was like the core of the spark here. And I haven't seen that particularly well articulated in Western media as to what's happening. And we'll get to the crackdown in a second if you want to comment on any of this.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, to state the obvious, just as when we're analyzing what happened on October 7th, it's not a justification. And as we're analyzing what happened with these riots, also not a justification. But yeah, when you couple the highest homelessness that Ireland has ever seen, massive housing crisis, Ireland, they were one of the countries that got the most screwed in the 2008 financial crisis and have in some ways never recovered. So when you couple this, but I think the housing piece seems to be really central, you know, based on the analyses that we were able to read. And like I said, the very high homelessness rate. When you couple that with, you know, a large influx of people from other countries, you have created a tinderbox in which, yeah, the easiest thing for people to do is going to be, and for, you know, cynical politicians and influencers and whoever, is to blame the immigrants. And, you know, it's classic scapegoating. That's very common to see what unfolded here. And, you know, and there was like misinformation about who this person actually was. The context of actually this dude's been here for 20 years, by the way, was not in there whatsoever. But it lit this spark that explodes in these unbelievable riots that unfolded. Also worth mentioning, that the man who disrupted the attack, who hit the dude who was stabbing children over the head with his helmet, was a recent immigrant from Brazil.
From Brazil. He was actually thanked by Conor McGregor. So let me tie it into
just to be clear. But yeah, I think, you know, we have had this idea of, you know, the Ukraine war, and that it's obviously beautiful that all these countries have taken in refugees, and we covered yesterday how the U.S. was really central. I mean, the reason that this war has gone on and on. And we can't deny the fact that, especially in a time when countries' safety nets are stretched, when inflation is tough, when people all over the world are feeling very stretched economically, that this is the type of politics that oftentimes results.
Well, I mean, I just looked it up. The average sale price of a home in Dublin is 1.3 million euro as of last month.
And people feel like they can no longer afford to live in the neighborhoods where they grew up and where their family is, et cetera. They feel like, you know, and like they have no hope and all of this. Again, not justification, but just to understand these things don't come out of nowhere. And so instead of focusing, classic, like, you know, sort of neoliberal political move, rather than focusing on those core problems, well, what should they do instead? They're going to crack down on the misinformation.
And let's get to that, because this is what the response of the Irish government has been, which is, no, we don't need to maybe reconsider our refugee resettlement population, or we don't need to reconsider our housing policy. We need to crack down on hate speech, which is what incited these riots, which is why Conor McGregor is under investigation. Here is the Prime Minister laying some of this out as a response to the riots.
In addition to that, I think it's now very obvious to anyone who might have doubted it that our incitement hatred legislation is just not up to date. It's not up to date for the social media age, and we need that legislation through, and we need it through within a matter of weeks, because it's not just the platforms who have a responsibility here, and they do. There's also the individuals who post messages and images online that stir up hatred and violence, and we need to be able to use laws to go after them individually as well.
Got to go after the people who are talking about how it's BS that Ukrainians are getting free housing when an average home price is 1.3 million. Yeah, that sounds like the right thing to do. Here is one of their Green Party senators. This is a very viral clip, but it really represents this ideology that's prevalent all throughout Western Europe about what freedom of speech actually means to them, and basically nothing. Take a listen.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
There you go. Safetyism in a nutshell.
Sounds like a bunch of conservatives right now talking about anti-Semitism on college campuses.
I had to slip that in there, huh? No, I mean, you're not wrong. It's true.
It's true.
And here's the thing. This is leading to now Conor McGregor's investigation for this following tweet. Let's put this up there on the screen. I'm going to read it to you directly. He says, innocent children ruthlessly stabbed today by a mentally deranged non-national Dublin in Ireland today. Our chief of police had this to say on the riots of the aftermath. Not good enough. There is grave danger among us in Ireland that should never be here in the first place. There has been zero action done to support the public in any way, shape, or form with this frightening fact. Not good enough. Make change or make way. Ireland for the victory. God bless those attacked today. We pray. That's what he said. And they're claiming that he glorified violence. And yet they're ignoring that he thanked the Brazilian Brazilian-Irish immigrant who actually stopped the violence. He says, I don't condone last night's riots. I don't condone attacks on our first responders in their line of duty. I don't condone looting. Last night's scenes achieved nothing towards fixing this issue. I do understand the frustrations, however, and I understand a move must be made to ensure the change that we need is ushered in. That's what he said. What's wrong with that exactly?
Even if he did say something wrong and heinous and terrible.
Well,
and
let's put that aside.
Yeah, but then he still should be able to say those things. And it's such a dodge to just be like, oh, we're going to crack down on the misinformation, as if that's that's going to solve the underlying problems. I mean, it's just like very similar to here.
They don't want to admit the actual problem here. And, you know, Ireland's a small country. They got 5 million people. 140,000 people is a lot of people. And like 20% of your population being foreign born. And I'll press the red button and I'll go to what Margaret Thatcher said of her own country. Europe is about history. America is about an idea. It's like these are very different populations with very different understandings of immigration. They, I think, behave in a completely irresponsible manner whenever it comes to refugee resettlement and all of this. And you combine that with their generous welfare states and neglecting their own population. I just think, Krystal, the more I did research into this, I was honestly shocked at the way that it has been portrayed.
It's when you look at, you know, political science analyses of countries with large immigrant populations. When things are going well, it's fine. You know, when people feel like I can buy a house, I can have a family, I can have a job, I can have a good income. But when things are not going well, then guess what? Again, you're going to look for scapegoats. And this is a tale as old as time. So in any case, the idea that you're going to fix it by like cracking down on social media and Conor McGregor is silly.
Not going to happen.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.